Hello and welcome to Guest Talks. I'm your host Maggie, and this is a space where I bring beautiful people to share their own transformation journeys, the modalities that they use for their own personal growth, and talk about their visions and their missions in this beautiful world. And my guest today is Cynthia Dumas, a Mexican woman who migrated to America at the age of 7. And now she is a women empowerment coach that closely works with regulating nervous system, healing the body, and helping guiding women to escape the mental matrix. Hello, Cynthia, and thank you so much for being here with me. I'm very excited about upcoming conversation.
Hi, Maggie. Thank you for having me. This is so awesome. By the way, great opening. It was really good. You're
Oh, thank you,
adorable.
thank you.
Thanks for having
So
me.
thank you for being here. So I like to just mention that we've met in Mexico in 2023 at Bella's retreat, and it's been such a beautiful uh, thing to witness you grow because I think both of us grew so much since we met in Mexico. At the time, we were both um, kind of like going through our healing journeys, right? And being a coach or being of assistance to women and helping women grow was more of a dream than reality at the time. So I just wanted to honor you and congratulate you for growing so much because it's been beautiful to see you shine your light and yeah, so that's just a quick one from me.
Oh, that is so sweet. Honestly, I think you nailed it on the butt when the way that you said it of like when we first met, what we are doing right now was just a dream. It wasn't a reality. And now, a couple years later, following your journey too and seeing your growth and where we're like just even being here together in this moment, it's like, wow, we're doing it. We're living it. We did it.
Yes. And I think that's beautiful on its own. So take us back. I always like to start with an origin story. I know all of us haven't always been so tapped into our purpose and having a purpose altogether, right? So what was a turning point in your life? Who was Cynthia before she became this badass woman that is helping other women shine?
Oh my gosh. There was so many turning moments. So like you said, I immigrated to America at the age of 6 or 7. So I was born in Mexico City, where I was around aunties, cousins, nephews. Like I have a really big family. And then when we move, it just takes away actually the start. When we immigrated to America, and not the legal way, it was I had to be separated from mom, and mom had to run the desert at night. Um, I was moved away from culture, from race, from my family, right? And it was really I had to step up as being the oldest. I had to step up for my family and kind of become mom 2.0 and be my mom's right hand and watch over my sister. So there was a lot that I got a lot of like people pleasing from that because
Mm,
I just wanted to be told that I was helpful,
mm,
that I was doing what I needed to be do. And because being an immigrant, you can't really do anything bad because everything it ruins your chances at getting citizenship. So I always wanted to be told that I was doing good. So A+ student, honor roll. I never got in trouble, teacher's pet. I'll put it to the sense of like in high school, the last day of senior year, I showed up to class because I was like, I need my attendance point. Like, and the teacher's like, you're really gonna sit here for the whole hour? I'm like, yeah, I need you to mark me as here.
oh,
And
great.
she's like, girl, just go. You got your attendance. So like it was what I'm getting at is like my life experience has ingrained so much of like wanting to be so good and so I never did bad things. And then after high school I went through this phase of like leaving the LDS religion. I no longer wanted to be a part of that, and so then I was like feeling bad for leaving God, quote unquote, right? And so there was a lot of shame and guilt. And then I went through this crazy party phase from when I went from good to bad. And I was
Mhm.
doing drugs and fucking whoever I wanted and just letting it out and being this other person that I didn't know. And so I've had so many life experiences that have molded me, that have where I have hurt myself too, and also realizing now where I'm at now that all of those experiences, no matter how dark, how shameful, how painful, how much I suffered, were so needed to give me the wisdom that I have now to be able to connect with so many women that have so many backgrounds, so many stories, so many pains. And because of my diverse life, I'm able to connect with them.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Every single part of our story has shaped who we are and has given us the life lived experience to be able to so easily connect with other women. And it's funny because at the beginning, I think of our journeys, I don't know if you have experienced that when you started to become a coach. For me, knowing that I have so much lived experience was actually making it harder to show up as a coach because I was overwhelmed with the amount of things that I could potentially help women with. So I wasn't sure what to pick or how to frame it, how to say it, what to, and it took me a while. It was a journey to be like, okay, it doesn't matter. I mean, I still get to decide what it is that I want to bring out there and what is my medicine. But every single thing that happened and every single thing that I've went through is actually making me this more embodied and more wise woman to help, So have you had any trouble? Did that happen to you as well? Or were you just like, no, this is awesome that I have
Oh, no, girl, I wish I would have just been like,
yeah.
no.
Well, let's
I
talk
think,
about it because that's what I want to normalize. That it's not just like, oh yeah, one day you wake up and it's like, yeah, I know exactly what my offering's gonna be, and this is what we're gonna be doing.
no. Um, I always want to say to people, like, when they're like, oh, how did you get where you're at now? And I was like, honestly, it was my business. Starting my business was the start of my healing journey because in order to be in business, you really have to look at yourself and realize, like, what kind of woman am I going to help? And then become that woman. You know what I mean? You have to go so inward into so many layers of yourself and all these uncomfortable parts where I went through so many niches of trying to figure out who was my person, who was my ideal client, all of the things. And now I'm at a point, last year I did more in-person events and like that gave me space to sit to realize like who is the woman that I want to help.
Mm,
And it's so funny because I think we do initially know, but we I had to go, I'll speak for myself. I had to go through the whole journey to realize who it was. And it's baby Cynthia before she started on this journey. It's not the high spiritual woman I am now in this connection no, that's for me and for me only. And I get to meet women from the very beginning, from their very beginning point where like you think everything's great and dandy until you get
yeah.
that burst of bubble and you're like, oh,
Your denial no longer keeping you. The awareness is bubbling up. It's like, no, no, no. We're not as
exactly.
happy as we made it to be. Yeah, I think it's important to talk about the fact that, yeah, it's a journey to get to what you want to be doing. And it's like accepting what I've learned in my journey is to actually be accepting of every part, whether you're running a business or whether you're on your own healing journey. I spend a lot of time just being frustrated that I don't know it yet, that I should be already at a certain point, which basically is the definition of anxiety, right? Worrying about the future instead of being in the present. So it's very
Mm.
important to know that whatever you are is the right thing. That's where you gather your own wisdom, and that's when you can then pick. And I think there's nothing wrong either with, thank you for sharing that you've been changing niches. I have as well. And the amount of time I was like blaming myself for it as well, thinking that I'm doing something wrong. Like, why can't I just decide about the dream client and just like, settle on it? But I think we often also forget that our dream client is also a diverse woman. She's also not just the one thing. But the exercises
Mm.
always tell us, like, oh, she's here and she's done, what's her pain points, what has this and that. But I mean, every single person is a variety of little people in them, right? The experiences. So she may be at this stage, but she's probably all the other stuff as well and things as well, not just the one thing, right? So that just came to me as you were speaking, and I was like, I never actually thought of this before because you that's like a classic dream client exercise, right? Tell her your name, her where she's on her journey, and it's like this one thing, and then you try to speak to them. But no one is just one thing.
Exactly. And so that's where I'm at kind of like before I used to be like the wounded woman or blah blah blah. And it's like, no, I'm realizing like in being in the spaces that I have been with women and the live events, it's like women just want a space where they can just be a woman. And
Yeah.
like you said, a woman is not one thing. We are diverse. We are the whole fucking wheel. We are all the colors. We are the dark. We are the, like we are just all of it. And to have a space where like you can show up one day and be like, what the fuck? I don't know what I'm doing. And the next day, I love myself. I know my worth. I got this. And it's so important for women to just have a space and just go and be and not feel like they have to show up a certain way. Because that life is, and that's the, sorry, and that's what the business has taught me is it's just a journey. It's always changing. It can't just be one thing because it's
Yes.
so much one thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it actually took me a long time to be at peace at the fact that I can just change my niche, so-called niche, and that it's okay. That it doesn't mean anything. It just means I'm growing as well because as Cynthia, in a year from now, you're probably gonna have different offerings. I personally don't want to have an offering that I'm gonna use for the next 10 years because I'm gonna be bored of it. So I wanna upgrade my offerings as I upgrade myself, right? So like why even waste that much time to try to create something like, I mean, the way I look at my business is not from a perspective of I'll create something and then it's going to bring me money forever. Because, like, yeah, maybe some of it's going to be there as a passive income, but really it's like whatever's present for me is probably something. If I embody and integrate the knowledge, then I will be the most excited about teaching it to others,
Mhm.
guiding others through it, right? So for me, the most important thing is to be satisfied with what I'm putting out there because I know then I'm going to put my best foot forward. How is it for you? Is it like, do you know your human design? This comes from my knowledge of human design, but I don't know if you are into it, but maybe you just know what drives you the most.
So before I'll answer your question of human design, because I do know it and I'm curious to hear your opinion. What I've started doing, because, and this kind of ties into the conversation we were having before we recorded, I used to be so logical
Mm,
about what I was planning, what I was creating, planning it, planning it, planning it. And yes, there does need to be some planning that goes into it. But lately, and this will give you, I think, a big hint about what my human design is. Lately, I've been doing a lot of things that just feel fun, that just bring me joy. I had to stop getting out of my head and
yeah,
stop thinking and just started creating of the things that feel fun. And like you said, what I'm doing today is not what I was doing the other day, and what I'm doing today is not what I'm going to be doing next year.
mm,
Because I don't next year something else is going to bring me joy, and it's going to be something fun. And that's what's so fun about being in business is that it can change so much as you grow. And so right now, the way that I tap into what I'm creating is I feel, how do I put it? Like today, I went and sold some jewelry. Right now, I'm into really like bringing out the beauty that it is the Latin culture. And
yes.
so I'm like, I went out and it was fun. It didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like anything. It felt like setting up a cute little vibe. And so having fun, talking with people. And I'm like, that's what brings me joy.
Mm,
Not sitting here looking at the calendar and like, this is the day and this is the day, which is needed, but not so much into how I used to do it. Now
yes.
it's like about a month type of thing, and mostly like what feels good in here in the heart.
Yeah. Well, then you sound like you're a manifesting generator like myself. That would be my guess, but
Mhm.
yeah.
100%, babe.
We are the doers, the creators, and yeah. So So did you find that hard at the beginning as well? Did you feel like you were jumping from one thing another and maybe thinking that you're actually more lost than you actually tapped in? And did you have a similar experience to me that it was actually more overwhelming or confusing in the beginning before you came to this place that you are now, where you're like, oh yeah, this is just who I am and this is how I'm meant to be doing thing, and I am creating the best things and the best experiences and calling in the best opportunities when I allow myself to be at my most joyful self.
Yes. So I think, and this is something that help with my clients, is I went through this whole comparison. Like I was just comparing myself to coaches that I admire, to
Yes.
women that I admire, and loving everything that they did and being like, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. And did it help? Yes, because it kind of gave me like the courage to see someone else doing it, like, well, you can do it too. But it wasn't mine. It
Yeah.
was it was copying. It wasn't tapping into my own creativity, into my own essence. It was kind of like what's out there and seeking more out and out and out.
Mhm.
And that's where the lostness came in. And that's where the shifting of niches came in because I was doing and thinking again of
Yes.
what people wanted, of how that ideal person looked like and what to do to become her. And then the moment that I was like, you know what? No. And it comes back to the self-worth of like, you know what? No. Like
Mm.
my own essence, my own creativity, my own thoughts and joys, that is of value. That is important. Like, and it sounds so cliche, but like we are our own superpower. No one's a Maggie. No one has your essence, your thoughts, your beliefs. No one has mine. And that alone is like, you're already out of the ballpark, dude. No one's
Yeah.
you. How powerful is
Hmm.
that? And so I went through this almost finding myself type of thing of how I wanted to run business and then realizing it's always just going
Gonna
within.
be evolving as you evolve, I'd say. It's like it's like another journey that we're on. Growing a business, and especially a business that is tapping into our gifts, is like you can't really predict in a way. Or I actually feel like I don't want to be. And I'm very structured as well, very logical, very, I used to be project manager. So like you give me a list, I'll make a list, I'll tick the boxes, I'll create 100 things in one day if need be, and I'll feel fulfilled. But it was a journey as well to just tap into actually, yeah, let me just flow, let me just create, let me just do one step and then see what unfolds before I plan another step. And that was my own personal journey. As you were speaking, I was thinking, like, why weren't we talking about this like from like 23 till now? Because I felt so kind of lost and alone in this experience of mine. And always constantly being like, oh yeah, this person that I admire is have this, like, pretty much everywhere you look, people have one or two offerings and they're very similar and it's just like one thing, right? But it never felt like mine. It never felt, but then what happened is because I didn't see people with like various things and offerings or changing every few months, I didn't see that I can give myself this permission to just be me. But it's all
Mhm.
about kind of giving yourself permission, right? And once you um, tapped in to, like you said, it's the worth thing. Because once you realize your worth, you're not going to be questioning whether you want to do it that way or this way or that way, because you know whatever you
Mhm.
do, your worth doesn't change and your value. I mean, your value grows obviously as you evolve, right? But you're worthy and valuable as you are today at any point from before you were, and in the future you will be as well, right? So it's
Oh my
funny how
God,
our
yeah.
journeys seem to be very, very similar and without us even ever talking about it.
I know. Well, even when we like met at the retreat, I remember where we were going. We were going to one of the tropical places and we sat on the bus
Yeah.
together or the little shuttle space
Hmm.
together. And like as you shared your story and personal stories, I was like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
we are so different, but there's so many similarities. And that's why I kept following you because I'm like, she's about to take off. She has a story to tell. Her essence is so fucking powerful. And I remember just seeing you as a fucking dragon, this big ass dragon. Like, I'm like, and by then I was still a baby dragon. So I was like, oh my
Oh,
God,
I was a
she's
baby. I think I'm still growing, it's still a journey. But thank you. That's beautiful to hear. Um, and I think, yeah, it's just that the accepting every part of your journey, right? And knowing that you don't need to rush, that you don't need to. I spend so much time being like beating myself up that my business doesn't bring me the money that I want, that I have not helped so many women as I wanted already, because a lot of us already have those big visions, right? And we just like cannot
mm-hmm.
wait. to go and bring it to life because it's so powerful and you know that you're going to do it. You know you have it in you to bring it out there. But then you just need to do a little step after, and you know it's the trust as well, but obviously aligned action and the trust and not rushing. I think I spend a lot of time rushing and trying to be um already successful, thinking that then that's going to be more thing. But the more I came back to it, the more I was like, well, actually this still teaching me lessons. There's still lessons to be learned on the way before I can be this big dragon. Like I know I had this big energy and I know I have a lot to offer, but there was still a lot of things that I had to, you know, make peace within myself, something that, you know, and it always amazes me how so many people saw this already, this potential in me. And in a way, it also made me feel so frustrated with myself because I was like, people see it, but I'm not there yet. But just
Yeah.
because I see, and I see your potential as well, but then it doesn't mean that you have to jump in there straight away. For someone, it's like quick. For someone, we have few things that we wanna, especially in our line of work, I would say, that we wanna tie up. We wanna connect some dots, heal some things on a deeper layer before we go, because then our offering is gonna be even more powerful.
Yeah, and to like further that in, I think from it ties into like I know that I've had trauma in my life, and healing that trauma means healing my nervous system and regulating my nervous system and knowing what feels safe and calm and how to deal with triggers and stressful situations. And with that, it's even success is expanding my nervous system to feel a level of success. And then that feels good. That feels great. I'm good here. And then expanding even more. So it's like we can get the life that we want, but first we need to train our nervous system to be able to receive it, to be able to hold it. Because if we say, yes, 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 it's for me, but it also scares you and it's like, oh, but that's really big thought, that's a big dream, I don't know, what if it doesn't happen? Then your nervous system gets like you're not growing, you're kind of stuck in freeze or flight or fawn, and you're just there. But if you can unthaw and, hey, nervous system, we're okay, it's safe to feel this abundance, to be successful, to receive this amount of success, and then when that feels good, expand it more and expand it more and more, and before you know it, you are that fucking successful woman. And we just had to take our time, like you're saying, to get there, because energetics is the nervous system.
Yes.
I truly believe that.
And I would, yeah, that's actually brings me to another question because I did want to talk to you about the regulating nervous system because I know this is a big part of what you help your clients with as well. And I know I mean, it's important for everyone because, yeah, like I always say, like we all have traumas to heal, pretty much all of us. So to learn those things, learn those tools is important for every human being out there, you know, just to know. And I totally agree. I had to ease myself in to the success, to put myself out there, to be speaking to the camera and my content, to be doing this podcast. Like my nervous system wasn't just yet ready to be out there and doing those things, you know, and it was a journey of me sharing in person a little bit in safe spaces before I could go and start sharing. And there's this stuff that I don't share publicly just yet because it is a journey. And I think it's important to honor your own wisdom
Yeah.
because your body will tell you when you're ready. Your body will give you signs and be like, nah, well, this is, you know, there is obviously sometimes there's a fine line between anxiety and excitement, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just you're not ready and you gotta do a little bit more work before you can go and do that thing. And that's why the acceptance and self-awareness is so important. So maybe talk us through some of the nervous system regulations that you do for yourself because it's usually that our own practices that we share with the clients, right? Whatever helps us the most is what we then teach to others, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, thank you for this, because I think it's important for people to just have the tools. I know that once I learned certain things for me, it's helped me to, in life, we're never just going to not have problems. We're going to have problems. But when you have these tools, not that you have to move through them fast, but you don't get stuck. You become aware, you're able to work through it, and sometimes you have to sit with shit a lot longer than other days,
Mhm.
and that is okay. Like what you're saying, it's let's normalize that. Let's take our time and get to know ourselves and so what works. And so my trauma response for my nervous system is freeze.
Hey,
So I'll start with, and for those who don't know,
go
freeze is
from
when you
freeze. Yes. How annoying.
seriously, someone for an example of freeze is you'll be walking down the hall and someone comes out and like boom, and like they spook you just trying to be silly, right? You're just like you don't react, you don't scream, you're just like
Yeah.
that's the freeze. And so what I've done, you have to think of yourself like an ice cube. You have to unfreeze, you have to unthaw. You can't just like go right into a tool. So for me, if I can, I always put my hand on my chest, like really being able to feel skin on skin, not just like clothes, but like if I can do skin on skin and like a little ice cube, like a little baby, kind of like I'm safe, it's okay, like it's self-soothing, like just really slow, gentle touches during freeze or fawn is you need to come back out of the mind and into the body, into the safety. And so just really soft, even like now my voice is changing a little bit, like really soothing, soft, gentle caresses and touches and like maybe caressing the little face. That brings you back into the body. It brings you feel safe. And then once you unthaw and release, then you can have either the conversation that you need to have or sit with what was it that triggered me. But it's not until we unfreeze or unfawn that we can have that conversation. And then for fight, if you're someone that's very reactive, like someone said something and I'm about to just fucking fight you because I didn't like it and you're just
Your head
gonna
up.
go for it. Hot heads, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Um, in that moment, one, I always like before people go into their toolbox, if it's safe, like ask yourself, why are you feeling angry? What was the trigger? Because it's not just let me get to my toolbox, figure it out, and bypass it. No, the work isn't like in feeling it and understanding where it's coming from, and also not going into a fixating part of having to really why was I angry? No, just awareness, find the awareness, find the lesson in there. But when you're reactive and you want to fight and you don't want to just punch people, you can just hold all the tension like on your wrist, like to the point where they're like shaking. And you're just like, oh, I'm just so angry. And then like
Mm.
let it out. And then by then I'll do like a couple like little jogs by it. And then if I still feel it, then I'll do it again over and over, or hitting a pillow or screaming a pillow. I think people don't realize when we were little and we were angry and we didn't feel heard, we had temper tantrums.
Yeah.
We let it know. And why? Because now we're adults, we can't do that. It's like as long as it's not harming anybody, as long as it's you're feeling safe and it's a good environment, grab a fucking pillow,
Yeah.
into it, punch it. Don't suppress it. Because I've also read an interesting book by Gregor Mate, and it's called The Myth of Normal. And in there, he was saying that women that suppress their anger and don't speak it out are more likely to have breast cancer
Mm.
because they're holding that
Yeah, it's all
anger,
the
that
suppression and all the yeah, yeah.
isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
emotions, that's a any emotion needs to be felt. That's literally why the emotions exist, right? So they come to the surface because they tell you something about your own experience. And they also obviously point to your traumas and your triggers and stuff like that. But basically, whatever comes, you want to accept and you want to let it play out and see what happens in a safe way. And that's exactly, you've already pretty much covered. Those are such simple things. You don't need to go and get like I see on the Facebook groups that I follow here, people asking for places where can they go and scream. Like you can do it in your living room. You don't need someone to facilitate that for you. Yes, every now and then it's good to go to like an experience like that and do it with other women or with other people, but those are different benefits. And I think you as well I love to encourage any self-sufficient tools that you can just do yourself
Yeah.
at your own whenever you need it. Because if something angers you in a supermarket, you don't bloody have the time to call your coach or go on a meeting or do whatever. Like you have to act right here, right now, and it is your responsibility to handle your own triggers. It's not that someone pushed you off so you can shout at them or punch them or do whatever. No, they don't know what is triggering you. This is your thing. And you're an adult now, so you can just take a few breaths and like exactly do this if you or walk away or like whatever it is that you need to do, learn those things, learn those tools. There's an easy access now to find this knowledge, right? And it's no longer really like we can't really say that we don't know where to find that information in today's
At
world,
that
right?
point,
Like maybe 20 years ago when we actually were a bit lost. We didn't know what's available. No one was speaking about healing trauma. It was still like a shameful thing to admit that you have any sort of things, and why many of us kept in denial and in secrecy of things that happened to us because of that shame. But we thankfully live in society now that is promoting mental health and talks about those things. And that's one of the reasons I do this podcast as well. So we can just normalize that it's okay to have a trigger. It's not a bad thing. Emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or whatever, none of this is bad. It's just a lower, it just tells you something, and your job is to let it play out in a safe
yes,
space, in a safe environment. So thank you so much for sharing just those simple things. And I love that you didn't, I mean, I'm sure there's some other more like journeys. You can do like journeys to self-soothing and people facilitate those as well. But really the tools that are so important are those very simple ones that you do in a minute or two
yeah,
or even half a minute, that you always have the time to do it. And then you see the benefits. You see that your body um is intelligent. And as long as you listen and react if what is needs from you, that's how you heal. That's how you then get
yeah.
better at the triggers, right?
Yeah, because you nailed it right on. Like the point isn't for people to come work with us just to work with us. No, the point is for you to realize you are your own healer. Here are the tools. See what tools actually work for you. Become aware of how it feels to move through that energy by yourself. Because to me, that is empowerment. Knowing what it feels like in here when you're about to lose control, when you're about to rage, and knowing how to move that through and alchemize it and sit with it. And like, yes, it's beautiful to have community and to be able to do that with other people, but to do it with yourself, for yourself, and with yourself, that's where I think one gains like a greater appreciation for themselves. Like, wow, I can really heal myself. And not in this, not because I need healing, but because I have the compassion and the grace to meet myself where I'm at when it's dark,
Mm-hmm.
when it's ugly, and still love that part of me. Because a word that keeps coming up in our recording is acceptance. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is huge, is normalizing and accepting everything that is part of the human experience. We're going to be sad. We're going to be angry. We're going to hurt. We're going to be joyful and feel love. But it's like, let it all be okay because it makes it all so wonderful. Without pain, we can't feel, we wouldn't know happiness. Without
Yeah,
love,
we
we
live in
wouldn't
a
know
polarity
heartbreak. Or with,
planet, so everything has its counterpart. So you're gonna have a good feelings and I mean lower energy and higher energy. So and I just want to add to this as well because that's something I've been learning and that helped me a lot when I realized that every time I show up for myself is like my conversations with my inner child, right? So this is and as someone with trauma and processed trauma for so many years, I also had to grieve the part of me that was abandoning myself for so many years because that's what we did really when we didn't attend to our feelings, when every time you suppress your emotions, every time you don't allow yourself to feel something that maybe feels too big for you, maybe you feel like you're not going to be able to handle it, but you are able to handle tough emotions, you just don't maybe trust yourself yet. So every time you come in, you self-soothe, you take the time to listen to your body and react in a healthy healing way, that is how you build trust, rebuild trust with your inner child. That's like little you speaking to you, come and take care of me. You've been bloody abandoned me for so many years. I just come, give me some attention. So, and I even when you were saying earlier that you're selling the earrings, you're selling jewelry, you're doing all those things. Like I just had this image of your little Cynthia just being like playing with you on the stores and just having the best time because you finally, reconnecting with that part of you that perhaps you have been maybe not even abandoning, but just not really paying attention because you have suppressed her
Neglecting.
as well because you were trying to be American or you were trying to fit into the new crowd. You were trying to be in
Yeah.
a box that we thought we all need to be kind of the same and similar to be accepted, right? So now that you go and you allow yourself to just do things, like it doesn't come out of nowhere. Those ideas, those desires that this is what I'm going to do. I thoroughly believe that this is me and my little me telling me like, oh, we're going to do this. Let's go there. And she's like, and I'm like, yes, let's go. We're going to do this and see how we feel.
It's gonna be so much fun.
And isn't
I'm
it so much fun? Like, I feel like this is the best way that I can live my life like this. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, why did I do this sooner?
Yeah, well, 'cause you brought up a perfect point, and whether there's any women that are immigrants or just anyone that has felt like they've never fit in and that they had to change themselves to fit in, it's like one, normalize that I get it. It comes out of survival. We need to survive. Our natural instincts are to survive. So we need to change ourselves in order to fit in, to feel the acceptance of our peers. We do it whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And so I went through this whole thing of like you nailed it in the bud of trying to be American, of what American meant and trying to fit that mold. And the more that I did that, the less Mexican that I was, and the further away I went from my roots. Or I tried to learn spirituality away from my indigenous roots. And so it took me away and I learned a lot. And it had to come to letting go of comparing myself to the beautiful white, blonde, green eye woman. That will never be me. And she is beautiful in her own way, but accepting my dark hair, my brown eyes, my dark skin, and leaning really into my roots, into what makes me me. And so, like, to the ladies listening or anyone human, lean into what makes you you, into what is your roots. Don't go into what the fad is or what people want you to be or how you think you should show up. No, dress up as you. Play with your clothes, play with your hair. Figure it out what's you, but just know that your roots are the ones that hold the answer and they always will because now I'm coming back to really my Latin roots and being proud of being Latina, being proud of being an indigenous woman and the colors that it brings and also like the ancestors that walked before me and just really owning it. You know, I think when we can own who we are, it just removes any worries of like who am I? What do I have to do? Like you're just more clear-headed in a sense of where you're going, whether you know where you're going or not. Because I don't know where I'm going, but I feel more clear of where I'm going, if that makes
Yeah, you
any
have,
sense.
I think you're following your heart, right? And that's what I usually, um, coach my clients as well on. It's like, it's not exactly knowing the plan. It's like, that's why I love working with big visions as well, because yes, you have like a North Star where you want to go, you have a certain idea what you want to bring to the world, but you can actually let go of the every single step that you need to do. Like it's good to kind of have a little framework and but life's gonna throw things at you. You're gonna have to pivot, you're gonna have to adapt. You're probably gonna have some deeper layers of healing to do along the way that may kind of like, wear you off the track. So like you have to be ready for the unexpected and the unknown. And there's no point of having everything, when did you have a 10-step list to go there and you actually managed to do 10 steps with no deviations, like probably never if you think about it, like nothing works like this, but yet that's how we try to control the future and be like, okay, I'll do this today and this next month, and that's how I'm gonna get there. But that's not how it works. Um, so yeah, I think acceptance, and you were talking about accepting, and that's how I see you shine. And when you started to tap into your roots, when you started to wear the jewelry and the colors of your lineage and your ancestors and connecting, like that's what I felt. I was like, oh my God, you're shining, you're thriving, you're just like so happy because you finally accepted, who you are. And I'm sure that has been the process as well. And that came with some other wounds popping up because it doesn't just again happen one day and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and nothing's gonna bother me. We can obviously be like, yeah, I don't care for opinions of others, but we're still humans. There's still going to be emotions. There's still going to be some comments that may affect you more than the others. So it's like a journey. That's what we call it, journeys, and that's why um I talk about this acceptance. That's one of the reasons because
Yeah.
you can't really predict what's going to happen. And one other thing I would love to talk to you about, which I think taps into this whole acceptance and self-love, and it's one of the practices that you mentioned that you work with as well, is mirror work.
Oh my
And
God.
I had my experience with mirror work as well, but tell us about your journey with it and maybe how you work with other women on mirror work, how you teach it, or why is it important and what are the benefits?
Oh my gosh, thank you for bringing this. I love mirror work. I think that's the most powerful thing, especially when we talk about being self-sufficient and self-healing. Get in front of the mirror.
Mm,
I know that when I first started working in front of the mirror, the first thing I see would be my flaws, what I didn't like, what I wish was different, the wrinkle here, the pimple there, like, that. And
mm,
it was sitting in the mirror long enough, and it was hard. It took dedication of sitting every day. I literally dedicated for a year sitting in front of the mirror for 30 minutes. The first couple of months, it was uncomfortable, and I just saw the what I didn't like. And then the more I sat there and I just looked into my eyes, the more like I could see the softness and the kindness and the love. And so slowly falling in love with the wrinkles, falling in love with the pimple, the things that made me me. And then it tied into energetics, into the masculine and the feminine energetics of and shadow work, because first
mm,
it would be a lot of shadow work dealing with what I so and called didn't like, but
mm.
we're never going to get rid of our shadow. It's
Yeah.
literally like a part of us. And so it's knowing how to love her, how to take care of her, what her needs are. And as I started doing that, I started unfolding into my inner masculine, wanting to be the protective of my queen, my inner feminine. And like the feminine, it went into moments where it felt really intimate with myself, where I would just like such a feminine way be caressing myself and just loving myself. But then when I would look in the mirror, I could see more of a masculine frame of like appreciation and admiration for the beauty that I was witnessing. But it was me witnessing myself, but in two different aspects. And so in that sense, it helped me with like, I'm gonna protect this beautiful, delicate flower. Like, look, I fell in love with myself. Like, look at her. Why wouldn't I set boundaries? Why wouldn't I speak on her behalf? Why would I let people walk all over her? No, I'm going to protect her and her being me. But like, it helped me in the sense of like that masculine energy coming up of like, I'm going to set goals for her because she deserves it. I'm going to provide for her
Mm,
because she deserves it. I'm going to protect for her by setting boundaries and speaking on her behalf because she deserves it. And then my feminine would be like, I'm going to take care of me and do my hair and put fun
mm,
jewelry because it feels good and I like how it makes me glow. I'm going to not wear makeup one day because I like my natural skin. I'm going to get all dolled up and put
yeah.
all the foundation and makeup and blah, 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 blah. And it was like playing with those two different energies that really brought into that balance, that homeostasis of seeing the shadow and then loving the fuck out of her and then therefore loving all of me, like the wholeness.
Mm.
and accepting all of it, and then creating the healthy relationship with the masculine and the feminine within me. And also knowing that that's always a journey. Like I
Yeah.
need to have a mirror in my room because it humbles me in the
Mm,
sense of I know I'm powerful. I know I'm beautiful, but sitting in the mirror and actually like sitting with myself like, hey babe, where are you today? What
yeah.
are we feeling? It's just how many times do women or anybody during the day do we take time to go into the mirror and be like, hey sweetie, let's check in. What's up? How's the heart? Where's the tension? Are you breathing? And
Mm,
so having little moments of that, which is going into the mirror, has been so powerful. So I just invite people to just go to the mirror, sit there for 5 minutes. If you don't do it on a regular basis, go for 5 minutes, set a timer. And as uncomfortable as it is, look into the
mm,
eyes for 5 minutes. Don't blink. You're having a staring contest with yourself and see what comes up. See
mm.
what comes up.
Yeah, I would even say, we can, because 5 minutes may sound like it's not a long time. It's a long time. It's a long time when you sit still and you look at yourself. So, whatever you start. I had this, I think it was Jay Shetty, maybe one of his podcasts that I heard it the first time, or maybe somewhere else. I can't remember now. But a small little practice is to look yourself in the eye when you're brushing your teeth every morning. You do that every morning. And because, people are so easy to, we all are very easy. It's like, oh, I just don't have the time for this. My life is so busy. I'm
Yeah.
just not gonna have the time. I can't carve the 5 minutes. Of course, you can carve out 5 minutes if you want to, if it's important to you. But you always brush your teeth. You always brush your teeth, probably twice a day. So
Love
during
that.
that duration of brushing your teeth, look yourself in the eye, and then you can compliment. You can, well, he was saying to just say, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you when you're brushing your teeth the whole time and staring into your eyes, and even that may be very, very uncomfortable at the beginning because we are so used to when you were saying, and women, I don't know about men, obviously I can't speak to their experience, but yes, ask the first thing that used to come up because it's also not the case for me anymore because I've done a lot of healing work. So I actually really love myself as well. And I do have it in like there's a mirror next to me. My wardrobe has two mirrors, big mirrors. So like whether I want to or not, there is a reflection of me staring a few times a day when I come in. So I don't always take the time to speak to her, but I definitely don't have any, oh, this is wrong or this is wrong. Or if I do, I catch myself and I'm like, oh, no, 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 why are we doing this? Like, we don't want to do that because even if you want to be working on yourself. And that's what I wanted you to speak maybe to as well, because I know you were doing some fitness routine at some point. I remember you going and committing. And I think sometimes there's this misconception that if you accept your body and if you accept and you love yourself, then you can't take care of then you can't be working on fitness goals or you can't be doing because then what if you love yourself then but there's a dip that you can still put makeup on, you can still put jewelry on, but you do it from a place of I am worthy and I'm beautiful regardless of how my body looks like today, but I want to feel good today. I want to wear this color. This color makes me feel happy, so I'm going to put that color. And then
Mhm.
you just it's complementing your beauty, not hiding whatever you don't think is beautiful. So maybe you can speak to your experience about as well, still working on yourself and dolling up or allowing yourself to not wear makeup while
Ooh.
working on that self-love.
Oh my gosh, I love this because as you were talking about, it actually took me back to now being able to know the difference. So
Mm.
way back before I started doing the inner work, I dolled up. I was very fashionable, all the things. But how you know you're doing it from a place of inner love is when you're not looking for the validation.
Yes.
When I used to get ready and all dolled up, I wanted the compliments of like, this is cute, your hair. Where'd you get that? I was fishing for those things.
Mhm.
I was coming from a place of unworthiness, of wanting that external validation to feel good. That's when you know you're maybe not doing it for the right reasons, but that's for people to sit with,
Yeah.
right? And then now where I'm at in my journey, where it comes like if I want to get dolled up or whether I don't, it comes from within of like, I'm no longer looking for the compliments. Why? Because I don't need them anymore. I
Mm,
get them from myself. I give them to myself. I'm no longer looking like for you look so cute. It's
mm.
nice and I'll receive it, but it's you get to a point in your journey and that's when you know you're doing it out of self-love is because you're doing it for yourself. So you kind of, this sounds harsh, but you don't really care what other people think or whether they're going to compliment you or not because you're at
Well,
a point of
yeah,
like,
it's more like it doesn't change the way you see yourself, whether you get the compliment or not. And I love that you admitted that this was the driving force behind it, because I think a lot of us, in a way, are maybe ashamed to say those things. But I think very often it happens very often that we put on those masks and we present ourselves a certain way because, again, it's this validation, it's this feeling of being accepted and belonging and feeling good, because we think if someone gives us a compliment or tells us something nice, then we feel better about ourselves. But it's always is the what comes within and our own acceptance of however I feel like, and I was laughing with the girls the other day because like last year I had this problems with my eyes. There was swelling and there was like some really weird stuff going on with my eyelids, and I'm laughing now in hindsight that this was my part of me accepting me because the first thing that came to me when I looked in the mirror was like, oh my God, I look horrible. I can't create a video. I can't do those things. No one's gonna love me. So I would hide in a house and I wouldn't go out that day, hoping for the swelling to go down, because why the hell is this happening? And
yeah.
and it was just funny to notice that sometimes, but you don't have a say in what's gonna happen. Maybe you're gonna have a rash on your body. Are you gonna just like? I get that sometimes you may just like but it's in those moments of weird things happening, or things that you are like, oh, actually, can I accept myself with the swollen eyes, looking like I don't know, bees bit me or whatever? And I was like, I still love you. That's when I was actually doing the mirror work, and I was like, I love you, I love you. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And I think that's like the most important time to do the mirror
Yes.
work, like during those moments, we don't know what's going to happen to us. We don't know when we're going to have an allergic reaction or going to get hurt. But when you do get to a point of like, I'm sorry you look this way, but I love you and I
Yeah.
accept you the way you are. And it's not okay, but it's okay because this is what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of life is being able to create it and to go after your dreams and to know how to heal yourself and how to regulate your nervous system because we don't control it.
Yeah. Well,
We don't
yeah,
control
exactly. It's still
it.
about that control. And it's easy to love yourself when you look, you're glowing and you're having a great hair day and whatever, and those days are important as well. Let's not lie. Obviously, they are important and they can help you tap into the self-love. But yeah, there's gonna come a day that you're gonna feel sick, you're gonna look sick, you're gonna be bloated, you're gonna have pimples. Like I have pimples. I'm like, I'm 40. What the hell is this about? Like, why am I a teenager now?
Loaded right now
They
is my
pop up
birthday.
here and there. It's like, okay, well, let's roll with it. That's what it's just gonna be there. So yeah, it's another journey, and I think that's one of the foundational journeys that we are on. Wherever we're going, whatever businesses we are creating, it comes down to self-love, right? Because the business will show you where you don't love yourself. I think you have experienced that yourself as well, because running your own business has comes with a lot of triggers, I'd say, and showing you exactly where you still need to grow before you can expand a little bit more.
Yeah, like, and I guess I want to give an example to those listening. Like for
Mhm.
me, like how my business has expanded me, it's as silly as I needed to figure out how to create a QR code. I have
Yeah.
never fucking created a QR code. It's something so small like that.
Yes.
But if when you're self-aware, you're like, oh no, it's deeper than it's like at that time I was calling myself unintelligent.
Mm.
The inner critic was coming out of like, how do you not know how to do this?
Yeah.
What do you
Such a
mean? Like
simple
you run
thing.
a business.
How are you going to run a business if you don't know how to do a QR code? Oh yeah, don't worry. I had one of those here as well, so I know what you've been going through.
It's like it's something so silly, but it takes you to a layer deeper if you allow yourself to go
Yeah.
there. And that's where the healing work comes in with the business, right? Because you're able to look at stuff that if I didn't have a business, I wouldn't be caring about how to create a QR code. But
Yeah.
because of the QR code, I was able to go a layer deeper with myself.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not having a business, it's whatever you're trying to create, whatever you're trying to evolve or grow, that's always going to have things that are being reflected back to you, that are being mirrored, because you're ready to your nervous system is ready to expand just a little bit more to feel safe there. And then I don't know where I'm going with that, but once you get there, that's like
Well, I
the
think those are
feeling.
those tests, right? Like we always say in manifestations or in any sort of universe work, it's all about, like they tell you that the universe will test you before you can quantum leap or before you can expand even more. And I think those are those whether you call it test or whether you call it whatever you call it really, but
That's
it's
it.
like, are you serious about what you said that you're doing? That's how I see it. So it's like and I love to take everything as a challenge because that kind of motivates me to go and like, maybe the little competitor in me with me, only competing with myself, no one else. And it's like, okay, so am I, with my eyes things or with a rush, with anything like, so am I really serious about this self-love? Do I really love myself today with this whole thing? When you have a QR code, are you going to continue growing your business or you're going to like just give up because you don't know how to do it and you're going to go down the rabbit hole of your self-pity and inner critic and
Self-sabotage.
you're gonna let him take over or you're gonna go and use those tools that you've learned and show yourself that, oh, okay, this is just something that I need to learn and it doesn't mean anything about me. So this is where
Thank
those
you.
tools come in practice. So that's what I said as well, that growing business is such a triggering thing because the more you're gonna expand, you're gonna do things you've never done before. So everything that you every single tool, every modality, I feel like everything that we've done so far, then we have this arsenal of things when we get triggered to use them and then decide, okay, am I gonna go this way and let the shadow win or let the insecurities win or whatever it is there, because it's only what it wants is wants us to bring it to the surface, accept it, love it, and then we can go here. That's really the whole trick, guys.
Yes.
Pause here, rewind, and just this is all you need to know from this episode, really, if you want to take one thing. Like that is the process of life, really. I think, it pops up, you deal with it, you love it, and then you can go and you can continue to grow and create your dream life or whatever it is that you're trying to create.
Yes, yes. I think life is so simple. And just like that, it's like feel it, own it, accept it, move on from it. It sounds so simple because it can be, and
Yes.
it totally is available. The more that you do the work, the more that you know yourself, the more you know how to work through these things more efficiently. I don't
Yes.
want to say quicker because there's no amount of time that you need to
Yeah.
do in order to move through things, but you can be efficient about it. You can get from point A to point B like super quick. And something that you were saying, oh, I wanted it to come back, but
You've
I
lost
think I lost it.
it.
I lost it.
But
Oh,
yeah.
oh, something that you were saying that is also so simple is we always have a choice. We always have a choice. And that's really all of life is what choice are you going to make? Are you going to make the choice to get up, move forward, get out of victim mode, or are you going to stay in whatever storyline or whatever other choice that isn't helping you grow and evolve? The choice is literally ours. It's yours. What
Yeah.
choice are you going to?
Yeah, and
And that,
staying in your current situation and complaining but not doing anything about it is also a choice, which is like one of those trendy things that is going out there. Yeah, just to realize that not making a choice and just like
it,
allowing things to happen to you, that's a choice. You're choosing to, okay, well, I'm gonna be a victim. I'm gonna just be completely under the spell of things out of my control, things happening to me, and I'm just gonna hope one day things are gonna change. That's a choice. You're choosing to give your power away it helped me when I realized that every time I just stay and go down this whole insecurity or the inner critic or this whole like, negative thoughts, not really that are empowering me anyway, that's me choosing to give my power away.
Yeah, and I think at a certain point, or I can only speak from my own self experiences, it's almost something that one can almost become addicted to
Mm,
just staying in that storyline of it's easier to be the victim of like poor me. And I'm not saying to anyone that feels like that because I've definitely been there, whether these words are triggering or not, it's that choice of I don't have to stay here just because I've been here. And some
yeah.
of us are born with greater advantages that kind of move us a little bit forward than others, yes. But at the same time, what you said was perfect of like get your power back, call your power back to you. How can you, whether it's your circumstance or environment, what can you control? What
Yeah.
do you have the power over, which is usually yourself, your well being, your emotions, your mental health? What can you do for yourself to help yourself out? And that's where the choice is, right?
Yes.
What am I going to do for me?
Beautiful. I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up. But before we go, before we finish up, I always like to give a little space to my guests to talk about their offerings. Is there any offering that you're currently promoting or anything that you want to talk about to the people listening? How can they work with you? Where can they find you? Um,
Mm,
Tell
thank
us
you. Uh,
Cynthia's magic.
oh, look at oh my gosh, there's so many fun things. So I am the founder of Goddess of Divine, and Goddess of Divine is expanding. I started out with one-on-one coaching with women, and the program is retrieve your self keys. Remember your self keys because remember your soul key, sorry, in the sense because our soul, our inner essence already has everything that we desire. And that inner essence is usually when we were little kids, that little child that just knew how he or she wanted to play and all the things. So it's helping women to go back to that innocence, to that light beingness in a sense. But in order to be there, you have to go through the dark, like the lotus flower, right? Go through the mud. And so I'm taking Goddess of Divine, that program, and opening it up as a group container for the first time. And so the applications are open. You can find me on Instagram on Cynthia V. Dumas, also on Facebook as Cynthia Dumas, and the link is on there. You can also go to cynthiavdumas.com. And it leads you to the Goddess of Divine webpage. And so that starts May 4th. May the force be with
Yes,
you.
God will be with you. Yes.
When I saw the date, I geeked out. I was like, the force is with me.
Love
Um,
it, love it.
and
And
then
I will link all the links that you mentioned, your Instagram, your Facebook, and our website. We'll link it in the description of the video for easy access.
thank you so much. And then I'm doing some things local in Utah every second Saturday of every month. I'll be at the local co-op from 7 to 10 for women circles, women event, cacao gatherings. And for fun, for me, I am I sell jewelry on Etsy and it's Latin, beautiful beaded jewelry. So that's also on my Instagram. So I'm just
Okay.
letting Goddess of Divine be all divine because all aspects of it. So just all the things,
Yeah,
I
you,
think.
you are embracing all of your multi-passions and everything that it wants to come out through you, which is absolutely beautiful to see. So, Cynthia, this was such a great conversation. I'm so happy that you've accepted my invite and that we get to sit and chat and touch upon a lot of important topics, I think. So I hope people will tune in and get some golden nuggets out of our conversation. And as always, I encourage everyone to engage with us. You can contact us on Instagram or you can comment below the video with your insights, with your questions. We are here to have a conversation. This is all about, embracing one another's and helping one another. So feel free to pop a comment with your thoughts, and we'll be here to get back to you. Cynthia, thank you so much for today. I wish you a lovely evening, I think, or afternoon on your end. And yeah, I hope we get to catch up soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. The conversations were deep and it's evening here, so it's time for dinner.
Well, enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.